Welcome to Chew the Fat. In this series, I sit down with high-performance guests and we talk about life, business, and what it takes to be at the top. This is part of my mission to raise $1 million for charity by writing a cookbook called Eat with Purpose. But I'm going to need your help. If you can share the content and leave a review, it's going to make a massive impact. And the bigger the audience, the greater the reach, and the sooner we can get to that $1 million goal. Enjoy the episode.
As you know, my goal is to raise $1 million for charity by writing a cookbook called Eat with Purpose. So what I want to do to mix it up is I'm actually going to be cooking a dish from Eat with Purpose. I'm not going to be educating you how to cook it, and then I'm going to be diving deep on the topic. Something I love in business is test and measure and move at pace. The more you know, the more you hear me talk about it, you'll hear me talk about it ad nauseum. I came up with this idea yesterday on a plane, and like a freak, I was sitting there at 6 a.m. I had this big smile on my face. I was like, that sounds fun. And so here we are. We're on episode 2. Bear with me. I'm going to have a bit of fun with this. It's going to sound a little bit loose, a little bit rough, but I want your feedback. What are the topics you want me to go deep on? Is this working? Or like, I just can't stand you cooking and me listening to a podcast, Frank. This is weird. Just tell me, because I can chuck it directly in the bin. Today, I'm going to be making a prawn and garlic, delicious little tasty number with some toasted sourdough. Nice and simple, but we're going to go deep on the topic, which is one-on-ones with your team in the business. So let's start with, what is it? What are one-on-ones? So for me, one-on-ones is really like an opportunity to sit down with your team, or direct reports, as we call it in the corporate world, a way to check in with key metrics and kind of get a sense of them, where they're at with their work, and what are the areas you can help them with. And so let's start with story time. So when our business Real Hub merged with Campaign Track, the business we had, Real Hub, only had a team of 40 people. And so contextually, you've got to understand that I didn't know what the role of a CEO meant. I had no idea what I was doing. I thought, sweet, I could probably do this, not really knowing. And so I didn't have a thing called direct reports. I don't even know what that was. And as a CEO, my role now had about 15 to 20 direct reports, which is probably too many, right? But what I found out is that the person before me, was a lot of kind of chit chat and a bunch of things that I'll go through, what I believe isn't the right way to do one-on-ones. And so I had to kind of figure out in my own way, what's the right way to do it? And so that's where I'm going to start today, is like, what are the wrong things I believe, and what are the things that I think can get the most value from the whole one-on-one space? So the first thing I did is, in my first one-on-ones, I actually just sat down. I simply asked everybody, when you're having these discussions with me, I can come in here with my agenda and all these different things, but like, the reality is I want to know, what do you want to get value out of? What is the thing that at the end of this discussion you feel like, wow, I'm better than I was when I came in? And then I started to shape the one-on-ones from there. And so for me, what I realized is not everybody's built the same, right? So some people build rapport through having chit chat. That's not really my way. I'm kind of straight to the business. Call me wrong, call me right, whatever you want to call me. That wasn't the way that I thought was going to be best. So what I thought was, through the process of helping that person, I'm going to build rapport by essentially caring about them, caring about how I can expand their stuff, and rather than just having a chit chat about the weekend. The next thing was, not every team member needs one, and then not every team member needs one as frequently. So I don't want to just do a one-on-one because it's in the diary and you both enter that space going, oh God, I don't really feel like doing that this week, because no one's getting value from that, and everybody's time is pretty precious, and having more meetings in the diary is not really the thing we need in a business. And lastly, I don't want to just go over the same metrics. One of the things I found is people would come in with the same metrics each and every time, and no one really knows why we talk about these metrics, but we just do talk about them. And so again, there's no real value there. So now let me go to, what do I think is actually valuable? For me, it's about, how do I increase the skills and capabilities of this person? So the thing is with business, right? As your business grows, your ability to do what we call asynchronous work, so you jump up, you go chat to someone at the water cooler and you bounce ideas, that shrinks because you're very busy. There's a lot of people in the business. And so what I want to do is be able to increase the capabilities of everybody around me, and understanding, there's a saying that I absolutely hate, which is, if you want something done right, you do it yourself. That's absolute bullshit when it comes to a big business. Why? Because if I have a team of 400 people, which I did at Realbase, I can't do 400 people's worth of work, right? So instead, I need to figure out how do I better communicate to those people and how do I uplift their skills and their capabilities so they can execute better and I don't have to do everything and take the cognitive load of all these different tasks. So back to my point, how do we do that? What I employed is this idea around coaching. So how do I actually get the better performance out of a team member? And so I read a really interesting book called Coaching for Performance, but anybody I've recommended to told me it's the worst book they've ever listened to or read because it's so long and dry. So I'll give you the key takeaways I got from it. When you're in a business, there's kind of two ways you can build your team. The key is every time someone asks you a question and you just hit back an answer, what you're doing is you're creating a culture of dependence. So they know when they walk in the room, I ask a question, I have a challenge, Frank gives me the answer, great. I am dependent on Frank every time for that particular answer. The next is a culture of interdependence. So meaning when I come to Frank and I say, hey, Frank, I've got this problem, Frank's not going to give me the solution. Instead, he's going to ask me a series of questions to draw out the solution in myself. Now, why is that important? Again, as your business grows, you can't just have a revolving door of people asking you questions the entire time. Instead, you want to have people who are interdependent amongst one another. They know how to ask the right questions to get to the answer. And so that was part one, but part two is really, really good, which was asking the right questions. So how do you frame a question to get someone thinking about something deeper than just saying, do you know the answer? So let's contextualize it. In that session, in your one-on-one, someone says, I'm having a challenge with a particular type of work, right? And so the question might be as simple as, how might you go about solving this? And the very common answer would be, oh, I don't know. And here was the absolute silver bullet that I learned from that book that could have saved you 15 hours from reading it. The next response you give them is, but what if you did know? And a question as weird, abstract, and simple as that gets them thinking about things in a different way. And so let me bring into the context that I heard it from the book. So from the book, where it was talking about a tennis coach. And a tennis coach is, when the ball is flying, you say to the player, were you watching the ball? And of course, the answer is, yes, I was. But the difference is when you ask the question in a different way, it gets them thinking about it differently. So instead, when the ball flies across the, whatever it is, the net, I don't know, I'm not a tennis player, you ask them, when the ball was coming at you, which way was it spinning? And just by reframing that question, they can't yes or no, it's not a binary answer. They have to think about it and actually deliver a response. So when you're doing your coaching of people and they come to you with a series of problems, the wrong way to do it is by giving just direct answers or asking binary yes and no questions. The right way is to ask open-ended questions and things that help them frame and think about things from a different light. And the coaching practice and methodology is something you have to continually implement, and it takes time, but I think it delivers incredible value over long term when you have a bigger team. Now, I get slightly distracted here, so it's part of the learning, right? It's like my brain's going business, and then my brain has to kick back into, oh no, it's food. I got to toast my sourdough because those prawns are looking pretty good, but they're almost done. So that's part one. So I want to go, how do I build and increase the capabilities each time I'm having these one-on-ones? And so apart from the coaching, it's kind of like setting with them, what are areas that I can help you with? I have a series of skills. What would you like to learn from me? And so each time they come back and back and back and have these one-on-ones, they're almost looking forward to the process. Again, you're building rapport through helping them increase their capabilities. But really importantly, you're a business owner, you're a leader. You want the best out of your team because, of course, they're going to be able to deliver more. And hey, we're in business. We like cash, right? Cha-ching. They're going to get more cash because more people are going to be working harder. So that's part one. That's what I love in one-on-ones. The next one is understanding that the role of a leader in a business is to inspire and to motivate. You set the energy and the tone in the room, just like I set these little grill marks on my sourdough right now. So what you need to do is understand that when they walk through the door, if you're grumpy, if you're rushed, if you're feeling a little they're going to get that. And then when they leave, they're going to be kind of feeling a bit down and sad and whatever. I don't want that. I don't want them people feeling sad. I want them leaving feeling pumped, inspired, and motivated. So it's like, what can I do each time to get them jazzed up? Now me, I'm a simple creature. I get excited real easy, right? So it comes naturally to me. But again, for you, it's like, what can you do that each time someone leaves, they just feel that little bit of motivation and excitement and enthusiasm for the day? Now, there's contrary opinions, right? People say, yeah, but motivation is just a one hit and you'll go back to your life. Yes, true, but the reality is I'm doing these one-on-ones potentially every week. So every week I can deliver that little bit more inspiration, a little bit more positivity, but also connect them to the broader vision, right? So in each one of my one-on-ones, I would always try to make sure that what that person does, their role, how am I connecting it into the outcomes of the business so they feel ownership and attachment to the actual end state. And the last piece of the puzzle, right? Of course, we do need to go over those key metrics. So I do need to chat to them and find out where they are and what I can help in particular areas and make sure that they're delivering on the particular items of their role. Again, whether it be sales, whether it be marketing, whether it be tech, whether it be finance, whatever it is all malleable. So you do need to have a process in each one of those one-on-ones where you are checking in on those metrics, but you're drilling down onto them. You're not just looking at them and going, cool, tick, done, but instead we're actually asking questions, figuring out where we can help. And this for me is an opportunity to be a person of your word. If you're in a one-on-one and you have full-time attention to that person, don't make a promise and then leave there and then forget about it. And then next week go, you silly Sally, I completely forgot about it. Instead, make sure if you said you're gonna help move something along, actually do it. And so if I bring this all home together, it's like, okay, cool, Frank, but why is that important? I think for me, business is about finding, hiring, attracting, and keeping the best talent. So if I have a process each week where I'm sitting down with my key people, my little super weapons, and I have them leaving each and every week inspired, motivated, their skills and capabilities are pushed up and on track to their goals, I'm doing the right thing as a leader. All right, thanks for tuning into our little jam session today. I hope you learned lots about one-on-ones. If you didn't, tell me, because like I said, I can chuck this straight in the bin. This is an idea and I want to give it a go. These little prawns look that good and my hands are getting all greasy. Let's go.